Tell me, guys, is that what a rogue trader has always been? When I think rogue trader, I think of someone like the old Necromunda comics with Cal Jericho. You know, basically Han Solo. Literally Han Solo. That's a rogue trader. What is this? Hello everyone, welcome to Glass Half Dead. Today we are going to look at the lore and the fluff of Rogue Trader. Now this was quite an interesting read for me because I have an idea of what a Rogue Trader is, but I guess I haven't really actually read any fluff for them in years. And by years I mean since ever? Maybe? But okay, let's take a look. First things to note, my book has come and it's kind of broken. I am super careful with books, guys. This is just how it came. When I'm reading a book, I read it like that, okay? Like, I never open it full out. I read like that. Okay, trust me. This is very annoying. So far, I haven't had good luck with the the Kill Team books because my original core manual book also it doesn't have this problem, but it has another issue. So a little bit meh. Also, just a little note. This is actually a really cool logo. You've obviously got the Nurgle at the bottom, but then it kind of goes up and becomes Elucia Vhane's house crest at the top. Pretty nice. Okay, so I have read through the fluff. I've read all about the Elucidian Star Striders, all about the Gellerpox infected, whatever this bit here is, and all of this. Okay, and that's it, really. And that. And that's it. That's your fluff. There you go. That's all we've got. So, what's that? A total of, not that page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 pages of fluff. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for example, let's take the Warhammer 40,000 core rulebook. I have never read through it. I don't know what the fluff in there says. Yeah. But for you guys, so I assume that some of you guys have the same issue. You want to know what's happening, but you're busy. You don't have time to read the fluff. Let me tell you. Okay, what we're saying here, basically, is that the Great Rift. Now, that's mentioned in, I think, the first or second paragraph here. The Great Rift. We all know that what they mean by that is the... Oh, what's it called? It's the Maledictum. I can't remember what it's actually called. Something like the Silitrix Maledictum or something. At no point in this book does it ever say its real name. It is changed and is only ever saying the Great Rift. That's very interesting. For me, I think Games Workshop kind of went a bit too far with its stupid name, realised that nobody ever called it that, and just said, oh, you know what, guys? Yeah, let's just call it the Great Rift. So I think G-Dubs kind of realised they made a mistake in, when they were rebranding everything, so instead of Space Marines, it's Astra Militarum, no, Adeptus Astartes, instead of Imperial Guard, it's Astra Militarum, etc. I think they went too far. I don't know, maybe they were thinking they could copyright the Great Rift in some bizarre fake Latin way. But anyway, the Great Rift, this is really just giving you background on that. Think of this as a bit of a condensed version of whatever the 40k rulebook is saying. I assume I haven't read it. But the Great Rift allows demons to invade, as we all know. We know that. That makes sense. And it talks about that mainly. We go into Nurgle, primarily on the next one. but it makes sense because we know, or well, we've heard rumours that the other factions of Chaos are going to be getting new models soonish. So that's exciting, and obviously this is kind of leading into that. So I would actually fully expect for Rogue Kill Team, that's the word, to get more expansions like this. Again, focused on maybe Rogue Traders again, don't know, but focused on the new models from Chaos, which makes perfect sense because that will introduce demons. So we get Khorne and we get Slaanesh at some point in, I'm guessing, some sort of Kill Team expansions. That's my official guess. And obviously it would explain why there is the demon keyword in the core Kill Team rulebook, but there are no demons. So it also mentions here quite briefly that they're actually... So again, this is me not really knowing what a rogue trader is, apparently. I don't know if they retconned all of this, which wouldn't be weird, they retcon everything, or if this is how it's always been. But I always thought a rogue trader was just someone that, traded stuff from between systems. You go to one planet, you pick up some grain, because everyone loves grain, and you fly it on over through the warp to the next planet, and you swap your grain for some, I don't know, Nurgle rot, I guess, apparently. But apparently that's not the case at all. And in fact, in this book, there is zero reason why they should be called a rogue trader. Like, there's no mention of trade in this book at all. I'm not saying I wanted to read a book about trade agreements, but no trading occurs, is all I'm saying. So what they're actually saying is that rogue traders actually, well, they do lots and lots of stuff. They do whatever they want, basically. But at the moment, they are being asked to found new worlds for the Imperium. That was really confusing for me. I've got to be honest, I did not know that's what rogue traders did. It even says here, and this is a quote straight from the book, rogue traders are only like one rung below the High Lords of Terror when it comes to power. They're basically inquisitors. What? Tell me, guys, is that what a rogue trader has always been? When I think rogue trader, I think of someone like the old Necromunda comics with Cal Jericho. Basically Han Solo. Literally Han Solo. That's a rogue trader. What is this? They should have, like, zero influence with the Imperium. The thing that allows them to do this is something called a warrant of trade. There you go. The primary trade, it tells you the primary trade. So basically in here, no two rogue traders are alike. They all have their different methods of getting things done and all that jazz. They all have an entourage. And that entourage might be a small, close, tight-knit family, just 2 guys or 3 guys, whatever. Or it might be hundreds of crazy, fanatical warriors. At the moment, these guys really are being billed as what Inquisitors used to be. Like Inquisitors from the Eisenhorn era, where it's a cool Inquisitor dude and a few henchmen, or, a bunch of nusses. But now they're called rogue traders. Again, very odd. It does also tell us the primary psychological traits for a rogue trader. Bravery, self-reliance, and wanderlust. Interesting. It also says, right, it actually gives us, word for word, they are similar to Inquisitors, both in authority and what they do and how they operate, and they are just as deadly. So if you've read any Inquisitor fluff, these guys, the same. I'll come back to it. I'm not going to get hung up. This video's already gone too damn long. This page is not the meat of it. They also tend to be masters of negotiation, which does make sense for a trader. Good. And they tend to be centuries old. The only thing they really need apart from themselves, however, is a ship. And actually it says preferably a small fleet. Again, who knows, right? I clearly was getting my fluff wrong here. I thought that owning a ship was a really big deal. And it was not an easy thing to do. But apparently, some individual folk just straight up own a fleet of ships. It also notes here, and I think we all know this, but it has to be said, that a warp drive creates a Geller field, and that Geller field protects the ship from the warp. We need to know that. Lovely jubbly. This page is all about... Actually, it's not that much about Nurgle, it's about chaos, and it's about mutations and how the Imperium views mutants and psychers. And I think, you know, any normal person from modern day, like us normies, will look at this, we'll look at the Imperium and say, you know what, the Imperium, pretty harsh, they quite trigger happy, enjoy a good killing, don't they? You know, and maybe if the Imperium just toned it down a little bit, it would be a nicer place. And, you know, maybe they'd stop losing so many of their citizens to the Tau, who are clearly much better. Well, this page kind of, actually, a little bit, I mean, it doesn't say anything radical, but it kind of brings to light the best reason I've heard of why the Imperium is that way. So effectively, because of psychers, and psychers of course have a connection to the warp, allowing them to move things with their mind, burn things, whatever, you know how it is, you know what a psycher is. But that power is drawn from the warp. We all know that. Cool. However, it's entirely possible that one of these psychers will attempt to do a small channeling of a spell, and the warp becomes too powerful, even though it's only a small tiny spell they're doing. The thing is, it won't just kill, I mean, it might just kill the psycho, blow his head up, and we're fine. That's no problem. Everyone's okay with that. The issue comes when the warp uses that psycho as a beacon, and instead of blowing their head up spectacularly, uses them as a portal. So they can use that psycho's mind and body to hold a tear from real space to the warp open and allow all of their little gribbly demons to, come through, destroy the entire world. And so when you put that into perspective, and don't forget that being a psycho is genetic, effectively, has nothing to do with how smart you are, how rich you are, anything like that. So it's entirely possible, or a good modern day parallel of that would be that idiot guy down your neighbour that you hate has the nuclear launch access codes, and he's allowed to use them whenever he wants, and he's not going to tell you you're doing it. You know, he gets pissed off one day because someone blocks his car in when he's parking. He's probably going to use that nuke because he's an idiot, isn't he? And when faced with that, might sound harsh, but why not just kill the guy with the nuclear launch codes first before he does anything stupid, right? Then you're safe. Interesting. However, not all psychers are dangerous. In fact, there's kind of a heavy insinuation here. Most psychers are fine. In my opinion, quite heavily says that generally psychers not a problem to the Imperium. However, because they are persecuted so much, because let's be honest, if they find a psycho, they kill the psycho. A lot of the psychers turn to chaos. Not because they worship chaos gods, but because the chaos cults that they turn to generally will have some sort of crazy plan that involves getting away from the Imperium, which is exactly what these psychers want to do. So anyone that's offering them a ship and a way out of where they live, they're going to go with them. Because the chaos cultists don't want to kill them. Well, they probably do, but let's not get into that. So it's actually a nice little bit of fluff there. These 2 pages are all about the scenario that we're currently in. This is about the Great Rift opening and how Ultramar has been torn apart and wrecked, and was only just saved because Guilliman came back and stopped the demon Primarch Mortarion. After he did that, he realised that the state that the Imperium was in, and so went off, called in hundreds of rogue traders, and this was the biggest gathering of rogue traders in living memory. because obviously they're effectively all Inquisitor level people, so they don't gather, like they don't need to. So he called them all in and basically said to them, chaos is taking over the Imperium, and so I want you, this is Guilliman saying this obviously, and so I want you to go out and find new worlds. So many worlds have been ravaged by chaos that the Imperium needs new worlds. And you've got to understand that the Imperium obviously is huge, but within its core bit that we generally fight in as players, everything is known, right? Don't get me wrong, not everything has been explored in the fluff. There's so much more out there, but everything is known. The Imperium has been to every world between here and there. And so Guilliman is asking all of these rogue traders to go to the ends of known space and find new planets, which is cool and interesting, I think. Then we get our first mention, really, of Elucia Vhane. She has she robbed her parents, her family estate, of a treasure map, literally a treasure map. She's a pirate, basically. You're playing a pirate. And this treasure map says, go to this part. And previously that could never be done. But because of how much the Great Rift tore up the galaxy, it's moved warp storms around, and now there is a clear path to where they're going. This bit here is all about, the Elucia Vhane, the rogue trader's big ship, is called New Dawn. And her little shuttle, the thing that we're playing on, is called the True Hawk. This is just actually a small transport shuttle that ferries from her big ship, New Dawn, down to the planet that they have found, which is called Arcadia Neus, I think. I can't see it here, but Arcadia Neos, I think? Yes, Arcadia Neos. And so these pages are all about how after they've gone through some weird things happened while they were in translation. It took them 30 years to get here. A lot of colonists, because again they're trying to colonize new worlds, and so each rogue trader has colonists that they've put on ice for the duration of the warp jumps. Weird things happened, but no demons. So, no demons. When they finally come out, of their final warp jump, they see this new world called, they've named Arcadia Neos. It's great. They've been traveling for 30 years and they finally find it, and it looks like everything they wanted it to be. It's a verdant world. It's green and blue, and it's exactly what they wanted. And it's not a death world. All the predators down there are no match for a person with a gun. It's basically terror. It's basically Earth now, as it was, not the fucked up terror that they live on in some bizarre gothic cyberpunk mishmash. And so they start moving all of their colonists from New Dawn, from the ship New Dawn, down to, using the True Hawk, down to Arcadia. And there's also, in New Dawn, they have prefabbed buildings, so they're shipping it all down there, and it's all going brilliantly. And then it starts not giving timelines here, but basically the rogue trader goes down and stays there for a time until something weird is happening up at the ship. Only her engine crew, the people that had to be on, the emergency crew that had to stay on the home ship, New Dawn, stayed behind. Everybody else was back down on the planet Arcadia. Things start happening over the Vox, and so the rogue trader says, we've got to go back up. We've got to see what's happening. They go up. It's fucking Nurgle. Of course it is. Bloody Nurgle. Fights happen. Elucia decides her ship, New Dawn, is done. They have to blow it up. And so, as they're running back from New Dawn, setting the self-destruct, running back to the True Hawk, they're fighting off these Nurgle horrors until eventually they manage to get to the True Hawk and New Dawn explodes. And then we find out our first mission, which I'm not going to talk about the rules yet, this is just the fluff. But the first mission is, as the True Hawk has been infected, as they're pulling away, they realise that some of the demons and Nurgle made it onto the True Hawk. And they're not going to make it down to Arcadia, so they have to use the ejector seats. Is that what they're called? Escape pods. Ejector. Yeah, let's put an ejector seat in a spacefaring vehicle. Genius. I should be a NASA engineer. And so I believe one of the first missions you play is actually exactly that. It's you attempting to run from the control console and get into the escape pods. Very cool. Very thematic. Obviously, they've tied that into the fluff completely. It's very nice. And then this bit here, the final battle, is you've managed to get into your escape pods, or whoever you've got into the escape pods, and then you flip your board over. So you're battling in the Ministorum Shrine. What's happening in the story is that you manage to defeat the big bad guy. And that's what happens in this little fluff section here. And to finish this story off, because that is the end of our fluff, we go on to the rules, sadly. I know you're all enjoying my rambling, incoherent babbling about this fluff. But to finish this off, what I've done for you is I've actually read all of this out. And I'm going to play that for you now. This is the final battle between Elucia Vhane and the leader of the Nurgles, so that you can see how it all ends up. Okay, everybody, this is Glass Half Dead. I hope you enjoy the upcoming audio. Let me know what you think. Is this how rogue traders have always been, or is this all new fluff for us? I genuinely don't know. And what do you think of the fluff in general? Have you read the book yet? What are your thoughts? Awesome. Enjoy what you're about to hear, and have a great day. Goodbye, everyone. Vhane dived forward, gaining the cover of a confessional throne just in time as a gout of flame swept across where she had stood moments before. She felt the furnace heat from those unnatural flames, and the air rippled. Minced too dodged the flames, but in doing so left herself open to be brutally battered aside as the bellowing giant strode around the pillar. "You can't hide from us, traitor!" shouted all three of Vulgrar's heads. Reacting instinctively, Vhane feinted one way and then dashed another, putting a different pillar between herself and the twisted lord. She had glimpsed the lumpen face at the centre of the bulbous mass of muscle and fat, and she shuddered to see a hint of her former engine master. Somehow, recognising a once loyal crew member trapped within that mutant blubber only made it worse. Lashing out with its multiple arms, Vulgrar delivered the rogue trader a glancing blow. Vhane had dodged the worst of it, but so powerful was the mutant that she felt light-headed. From the sound of stamping feet, she guessed which way the lumbering foe was heading, and backtracked the opposite way, seeking to keep a pillar between herself and her enormous enemy. It was less about hatching a plan and more about buying time. She didn't want to duel that 12-foot monstrosity until her head cleared. Elsewhere, the wider battle raged. It was no longer an ordered conflict between two sides, but a whirling maelstrom. As Vhane darted from behind a pillar to move up the western chantry, her sudden movement startled a cluster of sludge grubs that were attempting to feed upon the stunned Death Cult executioner. The last Nightmare Hulk's head lay severed at Pron's feet. 2 pistol shots and a swing of Elucia's cane rapier dispatched the arm-sized mutant parasite, but then Vulgrar found her once more. An arm with a whirring drill drove down, but the rogue trader was too quick, stepping back while the blow bit deep into the ancient stone flooring, tilting the entire tile. Using the sudden momentum, Vhane sprang upwards towards the trio of heads, even as she dodged the cruel flesh-ripper appendages that grasped at her armoured bodice. A heavier sword, even a power blade, would not have been fast enough to slice through 3 goitered throats before the twisted lord's belly furnace erupted or his mutated limbs tore the rogue trader to pieces. It came within an eye blink, but Elucia's cane rapier, the esteemed sword she knew as Blur, was lithe and quicksilver fast. Its monomolecular cutting edge slashed open all 3 of Vulgrar's throats, and from the wounds squirted vile liquids. Vulgrar toppled, a last tongue of fire blazing upwards from his stomach, briefly illuminating the vaulted ceiling high above. Stumbling, Vhane brought her pistol to bear at the sound of approaching footsteps, only to hold fire as she saw the Voidsman. "Hunt them all down," she barked. "We can't afford to let any of them escape to spread their infection."
It will be months, even years, before any Ultramarines will arrive in Arcadia and Neos. Up and moving again, Vhane hoped that Minst wasn't dead, as her healing touch was sorely needed. It was going to be a long wait. She regarded the lumpen body of her former engine master, and then surveyed the ruined shrine. The rogue trader felt a stab of anger and despair. This colony was meant to be a seed of hope, not another seed of doubt.